Welcome to the full moon in Capricorn message, part 2. I'm Megan Mermaid, and I teach feminine energy with the magic of the mermaids of Sirius. I'm also the author of the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck, as well as Mermaid Mindset Makeover. And today I want to talk about the extreme energy of this second full moon in Capricorn that is occurring on July 21st at about 3:21 a.m. Pacific time. So this moon has so many aspects. There's aspects to Pluto, there's aspects to Mars, there's aspects to Neptune. And oh my goodness, is it bringing up all of the feels. And so we are just coming out of a huge transformative week. Like there were tower moments that were unbelievable this week. We had Mars conjunct Uranus. And so whatever was not in alignment with our life, maybe things really erupted. Maybe you're still like having a little bit of PTSD over this week. And if you are, believe me, you are not alone. The good news is we are moving out of those really surprising, unexpected disruptions. And now we're coming back into alignment because this whole weekend leading up to the full moon has aspects to Venus and the North Node. There's Isis, which is helping us to align back with our path, our heart-centered path. And we also have this beautiful energy of Mars and Neptune that's guiding us into this space of spiritual inquiry and vision. So I'm going to be talking about each of the individual aspects that are related to this moon in just a moment. But first, I want to give an overview of what full moons are if you're brand new to working with the moon and lunar energy, and also what this energy of Capricorn is all about. So I had this download right before I stepped on for this video about how Capricorn invites us into our power. And it's almost like that fierce CEO inside of us that like is not afraid to say off with their heads. And that's really what this moon is inviting us into. It's inviting us into this really deep inquiry into who has access to us and if that access should continue to be granted or if it needs to be revoked. And the reason for this is because we all have this very important mission right now. And literally, the world is burning down. No pressure or anything to step into your power. But the thing is that the more that you are being guided by your heart, the more that you're going to align and balance out those darker energies, which means that we have to be even more cognizant of the people and the experiences and the relationships in our lives. They're either serving us and empowering us and helping us to grow and evolve, or they're bringing us down. And if they're bringing us down, we've got to take a long, hard look at what's happening. And I've experienced that already. I have the gift of anticipation. So oftentimes I'll start to see the lessons kind of unfolding before the collective does. That doesn't mean that I don't still feel them when they do, but I'll start to really feel into the pattern of what we're experiencing. And what really came up for me this week is this idea of codependency. And not in the general way of feeling like, you rely on somebody or you feel attached to someone, but this codependency about power. And so, me personally, I've been working through healing my own attachment style, which is anxious attachment. That's me. Hi, I'm anxious. And so, what I discovered is that oftentimes I was devaluing myself and overvaluing my partners. And so when a partner or someone I was in a relationship with would pull away, or I wouldn't be hearing from them as often, all of a sudden it would be like this catastrophic thing. And like literally I had to sit with that and start to unravel and get to that part of me that was feeling the wound. Because oftentimes those of us that are working through this anxious attachment style, we are part of the collective that is healing the core wounds of number one, I am not lovable and I am not enough. And number two, the people that I love will leave me. And so that's really fun to work through, right? But the empowering thing is once we start to have compassion and recognize that, hey, I'm not the only one feeling this. I am simply acting out one of the plays of humanity. It helps us to have a little bit more understanding for ourselves. And so through this whole eye-opening experience that I've had this week about starting to heal and and work with these deep wounds that I've had that really come to life in relationship, I've discovered that it's so important that we start to value ourselves and our power. Oftentimes, what happens if we're focusing too much energy on external figures like our partner or friends or anyone else that we value, that we put on this pedestal, then we are voluntarily, consciously or unconsciously, giving our power away. And so, what this moon is asking us to do is call back that power, to step into our full sovereignty and recognize the only way that we're going to be fulfilled, the only way that we're going to be capable, successful, prosperous, happy, is if we are fully embodied and we are fully living out our mission. And then we are going to align with others on that path that will honor where we are at and won't be pulling us down into these power dynamics, which happens because oftentimes we're going to continue to attract people that have an intersecting wound. Their wound triggers our wound, and we get stuck in this mess. And then what happens? We're distracted from the real work, which is what we're here to do. Above everything else, we are light workers, we are starseeds, we are angels, whatever you want to call yourself. We are here for this very important work and this very important mission. And yes, relationships are a part of this, but this Capricorn moon is saying before we can get to the relationship part and be successful at it, we've got to be successful in building our legacy and reaching and achieving our goals and creating a solid foundation for ourselves. And so if you can focus on that piece in this moon, as we get to other moons, of course, the relationship part is going to come up. Love is such a huge part of life. But now you've got to focus on love for yourself by figuring out how to be that boss babe or that boss dude, if you're a man that's watching this, and really take full control of your life. So let's go over all of the aspects of this moon and what to expect. So full moons are a time of culmination. It's when the light from the moon shines brightest. So it's often going to give us those aha moments where something is revealed. So I encourage you to use full moons as a time to release, to honor the culmination, because a full moon is also this space of like reaching the pinnacle of something. Maybe you've finally seen something through to completion, whether it's a pattern or a situation or a relationship, whatever it is, something is coming to completion. So something new can come in. And this is probably goal oriented or career related because it's Capricorn. And then what you also want to think about with full moons is that it's revealing the secrets. So whatever, you've been confused about, whatever has felt murky in some way, you can ask to be shown the truth. But beware, because when you see the truth, you can't unsee the truth. And what's so interesting is I have this pair of like pink aviator glasses, and I feel like I'm always buying new pairs because like something happens, they get lost, or I have a toddler. So, like she'll mess them up or lose them. And I guess she's a preschool age now. I mean, she'll be 4 soon. I can't even believe it. But this week I was trying to adjust my pink rose colored glasses and they broke. And I was like, isn't that interesting? Because I also asked to be shown the truth of a situation. And the truth that I received was a little disappointing. It was disappointing. I had to grieve. I had to be with the painful emotions of how I wanted things to be versus how they were playing out in this timeline. And once I received that truth and I grieved for that timeline I wish was happening, I was able to take my power back. And that's the thing, is when we get stuck in fantasy, the fantasy is draining our power. So let's talk about these aspects of how to get our power back in this moon. First, we have the moon conjunct Pluto. So notice if you are having dreams, notice if you're having visions, notice if you just feel this intuitive, like gut feeling, because Pluto is really diving deep into the shadow and it's allowing that unconscious energy to be revealed. Remember, it's a full moon and Pluto is about the shadow. Pluto is about the darkness. So the darkness is being revealed, not to harm us, not to hurt us, but to show us the truth. So with this moon conjunct Pluto, ask for that truth to be revealed. And I promise you, whatever feels confusing, whatever feels murky in your life will be revealed and illuminated. so that you have all of the tools that you need to move forward. Next, we have the sun opposing Pluto. So let's just talk about that. The sun is like this bright light. It's how we shine. And then Pluto is the underworld, right? So it's like we have this like power play of light and dark. And so we've got to find that balance within ourselves. And we may come face to face with our own shadow aspects. And we've got to be like, oh, yeah, that's me, right? Like the me that, like, you know, when I feel hurt, starts like, you know, getting out that scorpion stinger with my Scorpio energy, even though I'm a Leo, I have a lot of Scorpio energy. So it's like we have to kind of laugh at those shadow aspects of ourselves so that we don't deny them. That's the thing, is we all have light and dark aspects, but when we're denying those aspects of ourselves, we are actually pushing away our power. I mean, think about the shadow. The shadow is what makes things attractive. It's what makes things it's what gives things depth and relatability. So we're not all here to be love and light. We're here to be everything, to be whole, to be the yin and the yang, to be the light and the dark, to be all of it. So we've got to honor all of that. And this moon is saying, once you honor the fullness and the wholeness of you, then you will step into empowerment. With the moon trine Mars, we will start to feel more empowered to take action. When we start to own and embody all of our emotions, all of our experiences, then we are going to take that heart-centered action. We're going to take intentional action. And so it also means that we have the drive to move forward on things that feel important to us, that make us feel emotionally available, emotionally secure. It also means there could be an added intensity in relationships, but this intensity is neutral. So it means that in certain relationship dynamics, there could be a deepening where you're able to work through some of those patterns and wounds and come closer together. And then in other dynamics, it might mean that someone is not ready to do that deep dive, and maybe they take a step back, and you've got to not take it personally and recognize that, like, all right, whatever was happening in that dynamic, it doesn't mean that it's over forever, but it just means you got to pause. You got to give people time. We unknowingly trigger each other all of the time with our wounds. And so oftentimes we take it so personally when someone takes a step back. But really what we have to understand is the one that's taking a step back is a wounded inner child. So if we can kind of add grace to whoever is needing to take a step back and then turn that onto us and say, okay, that's not my area of focus right now. Where is my area of focus? My area of focus is on my job. My area of focus is on my creative projects. My area of focus is on my personal development or studying and learning or my family or my self-care. You know, focus on what's going to bring you power. If it's not working, let it go. The thing with Pluto energy is it feels enticing, right? It's like it draws you in. Ooh, what is that? I'm attracted to that. It's like a magnet. But then you get close to it and it's like, it's very palpable. It's intense. So we've got to give space. That's the thing that we need to do with Pluto energy, is we've got to give the activation and the integration space. Okay. And like, we've got to deal with that restless, anxious part of us. It's like, what's going to happen next? I want to know. So Isis is joining us for the next aspects, which is Mars trine Pluto and Mars sextile Neptune. So Mars is the planet of willpower. It's the planet of action, and it's the planet of our drive. You know what drive I'm talking about. So you might feel like hyperdrive, right? You might feel like, oh, like, you know, the Kundalini energy is activating and awakening. Or it could mean that there's like this internal deep dive where you're plummeting into this self-exploration of maybe psychic intuitive gifts. Maybe there is some type of energy that's building. Maybe your gifts are activating in a deeper way. Maybe there's something about creativity or harmony that's coming in for you. And maybe now you have that endurance and that drive to go for that thing that you want and to overcome the obstacles of stepping into your personal power that have really plagued you in the past. There's a lot of really powerful energy here. This Neptune adds a lot of sweetness to this moon. So yes, there's going to be a lot of deep dives, maybe power struggles to some degree within inner power struggles, external power struggles. Maybe we're sort of like kind of tying up any loose ends of whatever was activated or unearthed in some way during this Mars and Uranus conjunction earlier this week. We also have the moon sextile Neptune. So there's two ways that this moon might kind of be working with you. And you might be experiencing both polarities, or you might just be really focusing on one. So just observe and notice how this plays out for you within your own energy. But this could be an individual thing where you're really deep diving into that inner exploration of self and discovering your own gifts and being with this deeper connection to spirit, connecting deeper with your higher self, really activating this beautiful, harmonious correlation, this deep presence and embodiment of divinity and humanity. You could be experiencing maybe some aha moments or epiphanies in this spiritual space. Or it could be that you're really acting out certain patterns or receiving these pearls of wisdom within your relationships, where relationships either are going through very challenging moments or very deep reconnections, reconciliations, wound healing. There's a lot that can happen in this moon. There's so much that's here as a blueprint for how we can heal and how we can move forward. So I want to pull a few cards today and just kind of give an overall energy update about what to expect as we kind of navigate all of these powerful energies. What you want to do, and what I really advocate whenever we're going through a lot of intensity, is just to breathe, to pause, to remember that not every conversation has to happen right away. Sometimes when we feel this like Pluto restlessness, it's like we want to charge towards something, and some things just take a little bit longer to be revealed. Remember that slow burn when it comes to this full moon. Okay. Another thing that we want to do is remember to extend grace to ourselves and others, because so much is being unearthed. It's really this moment where we have to just be compassionate. We never know what other people are going through, and hurt people hurt people. Also, we're on the precipice in this full moon energy of stepping into the Lionsgate portal, which is this very ancient Syrian alchemical gateway of healing and energetic upgrades. And so this is almost like we can consider it the last week of the galactic new year before we start a completely new chapter. So this is like that final moment of receiving wisdom, of really just dialing into what this last year has taught us and what we're going to do moving forward. So think about where you were last year, mid-July. What has changed for you since then, and what still needs to be released and let go of? So we have the Page of Cups and we have freedom. So what I see in the Page of Cups is like, it's a message of love, right? It's a message of intuitive guidance. It's saying that, there's something more here than what meets the eye, right? But then we have this card, freedom, and the mermaid empowerment for freedom is I free myself by letting go. So I feel like what this is we have to free ourselves, one, of self-sabotaging behaviors or limiting beliefs that keep us from thinking what we want is possible, that magic is possible, that love is possible, whatever you want, whatever desire that you have is possible. But it also means that we have to free ourselves from the illusions of something that is not that we're trying to make into something that it's not. So we have to free ourselves from the illusions, from the deception, self-deception, or from external sources in order to free ourselves to receiving the true source of power, the true source of love, the true source of intuitive guidance, which is connection to our divinity. Everything is within us. So as we move into the advice, we have Tower and the Pearl. It is what it is, right? The Tower card. Whatever we thought was going to be is not that. There was some type of crumbling Something just did not go as planned. And it could be something that happened earlier this week. It could be something that really comes to light within this full moon. But this card Pearl is saying, I'm willing to see the pearl of wisdom. So if we can look at every situation and recognize it's always happening for us, then what happens is even when something challenging occurs, we'll be able to gain that data and insight of what is occurring, what we learned from it, and then we won't have to experience something similar. What happens is that when we don't acknowledge or receive the pearls of wisdom from difficult experiences, we will continue to attract similar experiences with similar energies until we get that lesson. And so sometimes this can feel very, very difficult. It can keep us in this space of suffering, like, oh my gosh, another heartbreak or another closed door. And sometimes there's that part of us that doesn't even want to explore anything anymore because it's just too much. So if you're in that space of like, I can't deal with anything else right now, like I am at my bandwidth, I'm at my capacity, be with that, honor that, and know like you're in a space of integration and things can always change moving forward, but be with your truth. The challenge that we have is King of Cups and non-reaction. So the King of Cups is like this heart open king, right? It's like the opening of the masculine, the heart-centered masculine. And because this is in the challenge, I feel like, you know, getting to that space of like leading and doing from our heart may be challenged right now. And maybe that's where we need to access that power. And then we also have this card, non-reaction. And the Mermaid Empowerment for non-reaction is I'm a master of non-reaction. So this card is very clearly showing that the mermaid is in this bubble and these sharks are all around her, and she can still swim and be her beautiful feminine self, even though these predators are looming around her. And this is such a powerful representation of what happens when we are in our own energetic field, when we have our boundaries up and we're not allowing what is happening outside of us to steal our joy, to steal our light, to steal our radiance. It also means that if other people are projecting onto you because their stuff is coming up, then you've got to be that master of non-reaction. And when you want to say that thing, take a breath and focus on you instead, and self-soothing you, focusing on your emotional regulation, focusing on your self-care, focusing on your power, self-soothing. Correct action, we have beauty and the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands indicates there's a lot that's happening. There's a lot of quick movement. Maybe there's new opportunities that are coming up. Maybe it feels overwhelming in the energy. Then we have this card, Beauty, from the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck. And the empowerment is, I keep creating beauty and don't look back. So it's like we have all of these opportunities where we can take the tower moments and use them as mud for our lotus. And we've just got to keep asking, how can I keep creating beauty? How can I keep focusing on transmutation rather than reacting and being a victim? How can I make my external world better through the energy of beauty? Other possibilities, we have the Three of Swords and we have receptivity. We have the Tower and the Three of Swords. We've got to acknowledge this is an intense week. We're moving through a lot individually and collectively. Heartbreak, grief, sorrow, this is coming up. We can't deny those feelings. We can't push them down. We can't distract ourselves if we want to stay in a space of empowerment. But all of this Neptunian energy is almost like this blanket of light that's allowing the grief to arise, and we can receive the healing from this grief. The Mermaid Empowerment for receptivity is I'm open and receptive. So you've got to open yourself to all of the painful emotions. If you want to feel the deep emotions of love and ecstasy and beauty. So to wrap it all up, we've got imagination and we have the Hierophant. So this is a deeply spiritual time, and we've got to really resource the energy of our imagination, which is our direct connection to God consciousness. The Mermaid Empowerment for imagination is my imagination is my superpower. So you see how it's like this stairway of light that's like ascending. We have to see that all of the grief, all of the tower moments are clearing the path to step into a deeper level of self-awareness, a deeper connection to source, to God consciousness, a deeper embodiment of the spirit of grace, and let that spirit of grace and unconditional love be our driving force for our power. And if we do that, then whatever happens, it will only serve to make us more empowered, more loving, more successful, more prosperous. But we've got to honor the feelings. We've got to honor the feelings and the deep grief and disappointment and sadness. Whatever's arising, we've got to be with that. And remember that it's going to free us. It doesn't feel that way in the moment. I get it. It doesn't feel that way, but it will free us. So if you need support, feel free to reach out for a personal reading, intuitive card readings, astrology readings. I also do gene key sessions. And the most exciting piece of news that I have is beginning July 26th, we are starting the first journey through the newly designed Mermaid Mindset Makeover. For those of you that have been with me for several years, you'll remember that I did Mermaid Mindset Makeover back in 2022. That originally was a curriculum that was based on law of attraction and manifesting. And that was an important step on the journey of thought work. But a lot has changed. I've evolved. My teachings have evolved. My channelings have evolved. And since then, this work has become more simple and also deeper. And it really focuses on thought work, and it focuses on contemplation and taking one of these mermaid empowerments every day, sitting with it, allowing that lesson to unfold in your daily life in real-time experiences, having a very simple somatic activity every day to embody the teaching, a simple writing prompt, something that you can just blend in within 5 or 10 minutes of your day. And you're really allowing yourself to go on this journey from becoming the artist of your fairy tale life to crowning yourself as the star of your reality. And I can tell you that I have done this journey countless times, and I keep doing it because it works and it activates mermaid consciousness, which is a path to ascension that is paved in beauty, bliss, and sovereign sensuality. And I can tell you that the key ingredients to getting whatever you want in your life is worthiness and self-love and self-forgiveness. And this curriculum is going to teach you how to do that in your own life, to identify and get curious about what's happening in your reality, to focus on non-reaction when things aren't going according to plan, and to really step into a space of self-mastery in your thought work, because the mental body and our thought work is the most important space to focus on. The mental body and our thoughts create our feelings and emotions, which then create our experience in our physical bodies. So if you're experiencing health ailments, if you're experiencing deep emotions, if you're having trouble accessing emotions, whatever it is, you've got to start with the thoughts. That's the easiest and most productive place to start. And so Mermaid Mindset Makeover is going to help you every single day to begin to identify and notice the fear thoughts and the unproductive thoughts that are blocking you from miracles, and allow you to step into the bliss of the ordinary, beautiful moments of everyday life as the hero of your life. I promise you it's life-changing. This is literally my life's work, and it is such an honor to offer it to all of you. We're starting on my birthday on July 26th, which is the Lionsgate portal opening, the beginning of the galactic new year. If there was ever a day to start something new and to say, I am ready to co-create something better with the universe, it would be this day. It comes once a year. I get to have it on my birthday. I get to be so blessed. So if you want to join, I have it at such a reasonable price. What I'm going to be doing is once you have that curriculum, there'll just be a very, very minimal fee if you want to do live journeys of that moving forward, because it really is designed to do over and over again. But you will have lifetime access to the curriculum. You'll also be able to be a part of our exclusive members forum. It's also very simple. We're just going to have an opening ceremony, a Lionsgate ceremony, and a closing ceremony. And we'll be communicating in that members forum throughout the journey. So you can share your breakthroughs, and you can be a part of this really powerful pod of other beings that are working through this journey of thought work and contemplation, and doing it in a space of joy and fun. I'd love for you to be a part of it. And again, I don't want finances to impede your success. So I do offer partial scholarships, and you can email me if you want more information on that. I love you. I wish you a beautiful full moon, and I will see you again soon. Mermaid blessings. Have a wonderful evening or day wherever you are in the world.